Host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, United States. Good morning, the world. How is everybody doing this morning? I'm going to tell you. Let's not ask how is everybody doing this morning. Let's say we will make sure we're all doing as best as we can. If you are healthy, you are great. If you are sick, we honor you and we wish you positive affirmations to be healed. Anyway, in the studio, our geniuses as usual, El Señor Howard and El Señor Jacques. Good morning, my dear brothers.
Well, good morning, Egberto. I was thinking about my mental illness here. I'm sick. Yeah, it's a mental illness. It's called radio
Oh,
addiction.
that's a
Radio addiction.
that's a good illness though. That's not a bad one, man.
It's profitable, somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
I think Jack has some wisdom for us this morning.
Dear,
Morning,
dear,
Real Talk.
dear Jack, good morning. Please honor
Good
us
morning.
with
Good
your
morning.
wisdom,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, this is for the ladies. Okay, ladies, please participate in politics done right. You're the target of all this bad legislation attacking women's reproductive rights. So the right can suck up to the evangelical Christian vote. And that is sad. Your rights are being denied so bad politicians can stay in power. Please help us. We need your feminine wisdom, courage, and strength, your opinion and your point of view. You complete us.
Perfect. I could have said it no better. You complete us. We cannot survive with your wisdom after all. It is with your wisdom that we survived all along. If sometimes a bit quiet wisdom. But anyhow, folks, please give us a call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. I have a few videos to show, a couple of videos, but I don't have to show them if you guys call and call in early if you with what you want to talk about. But anyhow, title of the show today is Dems better than GOP on economy? Yes. Big Pharma losing? Bernie give Dems marching orders. Am I going to get to all of those? Probably not, because you guys I trust will call in and we can have good chats and continue some of the conversations we had yesterday. But anyhow, folks, the numbers say it all. Democrats are much better on the economy than Republicans. Are we turning the corner in checking Big Pharma? Big Bernie Sanders gives marching orders to the Democrats. Anyway, folks, please remember there are many ways to get the program. You can get our program, but if you're listening on the air, dial in to 90.1 FM and tune in those dials right there. Or you can go ahead and download the TuneIn application from the Android or Apple Store. Search for KPFT and tune in to us that way. You can also go listen live at our website. Go to kpft.org, hit the listen button. But you know what? To shorten anytime we're asking you for money and that sort of stuff, just say, hey, I'm at the website already. Maybe I'll give a few bucks. And that way, if we're collecting as we run, we don't have to worry about every 3 months or so hitting you hard with a fund drive. The other way to get to us, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/KPFT Houston. And you can watch me in my rock shirt today, my rock shock shirt. That is the workout shirt I'm using today as soon after the show to do my spinning. You can also listen to us on YouTube Live. PoliticsDoneRight.tv is how you get there. PoliticsDoneRight.tv. And of course, you can listen to all the snippets at our podcast site, which is politicsdoneright.com/podcast. So the things that we don't hear on air, you can watch it there, or you can get it at our newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, folks, great to have you here today. I want to really start with something great that happened yesterday. And it's said best by an article that was written by my good friend Alex Lawson, who is the president's chief executive officer of Social Security Works in Washington, D.C. He wrote an article at Common Dreams. Anybody who was watching TV yesterday saw the president calling out the 10 drugs that they're going to start with reducing its prices. Unfortunately, in as much as the prices are going to be going down on those drugs, folks won't see those particular drug price reductions until 2026. 2026 is going to be here faster than you think, but that's when you'll see the reduction in prices there. Until then, you have to fight your way through all the discounts you can find, maybe using different, there's a product that we use called Drug RX, I think, to get reduced prices on drugs, etc. But the one good thing is one of the most used drugs, I don't know if it's a drug, it's really a hormone, right? Insulin. Now, you cannot pay more than $35 for it if you are a senior on Medicare. And many companies are now seeing that they better give it to everybody, because we know they've been ripping us off for a very, very long time, and it's starting to catch them. But anyhow, so Alex Lawson wrote the following. He said, just over a year, President Joe Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act, giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs. Today, Biden announced the first 10 drugs subject to negotiation, and Big Pharma corporations are furious. These are among the most outrageously priced drugs on the market. Pharma's priced cash cows. For the first time ever, our government will stop pharma corporations from charging as much as they want for life-saving and life-sustaining medications. This will include insulin products, directly lowering the price and breaking the price power that the three corporations of the insulin cartel have maintained for decades. I love how Alex said the insulin cartel. I mean, it's so many cartels in Big Pharma that continue to rip us off day in, day out. 9 million Medicare beneficiaries rely on this medication. These drugs also represent a huge share of Medicare spending. In 2022, Medicare spent $50.5 billion, then about 20% of total Part D drug costs. Beneficiaries paid $3.4 billion in out-of-pocket costs, which were as high as $6,497. It's amazing, because what happens is you retire, you think you have enough to live on, and then you get a particular illness that requires a drug that costs a lot, and suddenly you have to mortgage your home, you have to beg, you have to ask just to be able to stay alive. It's inhumane. But we'll continue with this article and expand on this article after we speak to Brother Donald on the phone whenever Jack gets ready. So I'll do. There we go. Donald, you're on. Talk to me.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am doing fine, Donald. How are you doing?
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How do you exercise?
How do I exercise? I spin.
Why? Why do you exercise?
I exercise to try to stay healthy. The last person that I want to see is a doctor. I am probably kind of foolish in that I don't do doctors. I just try to eat as healthy as I can, work out as best as I can, and try to do the right things. But again, sometimes I get caught no matter what. Life is life.
Exactly. I'm going to recant one of my statements I made a month or so ago. And I told you that all your knowledge can be found in country songs. Well, there's one that you're not going to find knowledge in. And that is no Bob Dylan. That's no anything else. Is the one that you referred to, the other day.
Oh, yeah, the one from Oliver Anthony.
Yes. Now, what we need, and he's a dumbass if he didn't take that money and run, because he's not a sustainable artist. He's no Dolly Parton or anything else.
Right.
The other thing is that this is what a politician should do. Now, you take those lyrics that he put, if you're 5'3", 300 pounds, the government ought not to pay for your fudge round. Okay, what we need to do is go, okay, why are we allowing them to buy food that's not healthy, and why are we not educating them? Because you were educated, and physical fitness, all this other stuff. Why are we not educating the people? We're giving they're allowed food, okay, but why are we not educating a nutritionist? We should be setting up like a clinic type thing, not just go in there and get your food stamps, whatever. And people do need it, and I understand that. And I'm 100% for supplemental on certain things. But why are we not doing health checks, screenings, education, teaching them the foods to eat and not eat, and what is good for you and bad for you? Because some people, not that they don't know, and I don't want to play that everybody is dumb, because they're not. But if you start out a certain lifestyle and you carry that for 30 or 40 years, there are repercussions for that lifestyle. Because trust me, I like my linguiça. I like my banana wrap tamales. I like tamales. I like barbacoa. I like cabrito. I mean, there's stuff I love to eat. But I know I start feeling sluggish if I eat too much of it.
Now, Donald, I could not agree with you more. What we have is a societal problem. If you look at many other countries, they eat more natural foods. They also eat better. They don't eat a lot. They don't junk themselves out, and they are healthier. Our problem is a cultural problem. We don't want to tell anybody what to do. We just have issue. We do so many unhealthy things. We don't want anybody to take your guns. We don't want anybody to tell you what you can eat. We don't want to. All of this stuff comes from a topic that I talk about all of the time: the failure of rugged individualism. You just called here. I can learn a lot from what you have to say if I'm open to being societal. If I'm open to say, I like to listen, I may be doing, I may like doing this, but it's better to do this instead. If we were less rugged individuals and more societal, then what it'll turn out to be is I would listen to what you have to say, Donald, and I will replicate the good things that you have to say. That is what we have to do on our own, because we don't preach that from the top down. When it comes to foods now, understand this: corporations bribe the government into doing things that are much more profitable for them. As an example, corn. Our major staple is corn, whether it's in the beef that we eat, whether it's in the cornflakes that we have whether it's in the bread, in just about everything, right? And why is that and is that the most healthy thing? No. But why is that the case? Because the government subsidizes it. Even the pyramid that tells what we should eat is influenced by the corporate structure that is working based on what's more profitable for them. So all those fat people, obese people, whatever, they are cash cows for the system. They buy a lot of foods that people shouldn't be eating. But not only that, but when they get sick, they are the source of income for the Big Pharma. They're the source of income for the healthcare industrial complex. So it's a big circle to turn us into cash cows, both health-wise and in many other directions. Now that we have smart people around, you and many others, we have to do our job, not to depend on what's coming from the corporations and bad portions of the government trying to tell folks the wrong things, but we have to do our job and be our brothers and sisters keeper. Continue, Donald.
Oh, no, I was just, you said something about Beyonce the other day, and the way my brain works is there are people that can sing and there's people that can sing. Now,
right.
The problem is, I want you to take one of those skimpy outfits into your church that your wife goes to and ask all them women to get them choir robes and put this on and shake it. And there's a difference. You're going to get hymnals thrown at you. Because they won't throw the Bible, they'll throw the hymnals at you.
Yes.
But that's promotion. Those are entertainers. And
right.
yes, video did kill the radio star. So we don't get the best of the best of the best.
Right.
We get what they allow us to hear. And
Absolutely.
The next thing is Lindsey Graham on that transparency crap that they're fixing to push through, which they ought to push through, because they are public servants. We are slaves. They are servants. They serve us. They don't deserve that damn vote, but they're getting them anyway. They need to earn the vote. They don't
Yes.
talk about any way to change the system. They don't want you to know that, oh, yeah, a senator gets $150,000. Shit, he gets a hell of a lot more than that in kickbacks, bribes, and expenses. He doesn't have to pay for his vacation like the normal American. They call them gifts.
Right.
They get money, plane tickets, everything else, and they are a public servant.
Right.
They serve the public. 100%
Donald?
transparency, or you don't get my vote.
Donald, and what we have to do is remind people, and you do that when you call in and your voice is heard. And you do that when you're in your, what I call your sphere of influence. Believe it or not, every single human being that communicates with somebody else has something called a sphere of influence, meaning there are people who listen to you. There are people who would listen to you who won't listen to me. But I listen to you and you listen to me. You can work with those who listen to you. We can use geometric progression to get our message out, but we have to understand that it's there to use. Thank you so kindly for calling in, my brother. Keep listening, keep talking.
One more word real quick, because this
Real
is
quick.
promoting 90.1.
Yes,
the
sir.
way I get people is I tell them to tune in to 90.1 for the blues brunch, because I know they love the music, and then when they hear the person that's spinning the DJ, they go, what the hell? And it opens their mind. And that's it. I'm out.
Thank you, brother. You have a great day. All right, let's go to brother Johnny. Thank you, brother. Johnny, come on in, the mayor of Politics Done Right. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Here, McCheese, if you please.
Talk to me, brother. Wait. Hold on. Before you talk to me, I want to salute those that are on the internet. Welcome, Eric Hayes. Welcome, Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. And welcome those that I haven't yet seen your name on the list. Go ahead, brother.
Barcelona, Spain. Beautiful place. I can't even imagine what it looks like there right now, in spite of all the climate stuff going on.
Oh,
anyway,
it's crazy. Yeah, go ahead.
Ronald McDonald, who I just heard on talking to a moment ago, he sounds like he's been around a while, and good for him. But I'm wondering, has he been to a hospital lately to visit anyone who's had cardiac surgery? In the hospital, you know, when you're in recovery, what they feed you?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't.
Hamburgers.
Oh, wow.
Hamburgers and fries.
Wow.
And in the nursing homes, you think it would be any better? No. We've got these people called dietitians that work in nursing homes and in hospitals.
Right.
But after you've had a lifetime of eating the SAD diet, the Standard American Diet, SAD for short, the SAD diet, you wind up in a hospital for a procedure. Now the procedures are very different. It's less invasive. I had a next-door neighbor who had some kind of a heart valve defect, and he looked horrible. He looked like he was on death's door. I saw him 1 week after he'd been to the hospital, and they did a procedure on him where they ran a catheter up his vein, and they were able to replace one of his valves.
Yeah.
With a pig
valve. Yeah. Yeah.
And they let him out of the hospital the next day. The next day, and he was on his riding mower, and he looked great. And guess what he was going to do? He was going to go to the Jack in the Box, and I was trying to convince him not to put cheese on it. You know, just order a regular Jack in the Box with no cheese. No. He's going to have his Jack in the Box with cheese on it. So these behaviors are deeply ingrained. Donald is correct. This goes way, way deeper. And it takes a lifetime to connect all the dots, if you will, to put the pieces of the puzzle together to realize that the tapes we're running in our heads, they were placed there by corporations.
Yeah.
Corporations have so much money. The corporate oligarchs, as I like to call them, they have so much time on their hands and money. They have the advantage over us in that. And that they providing all these Sunday morning political talk shows. They infest letters to the editors, newspapers back in the day when newspapers had a greater share of audience than they do now. They have all kinds of influence in advertising. It's everywhere.
No,
it's
now, Johnny, because the calls are coming in, I want to just add a little something to what you're saying here and then ask you to give me a little closer. But you are so right. And, whenever we come on air and we always talking to corporation, I know there are a sect or a group of folks who thinks, why do you always hand it to corporations or give the hell to corporations? I just want to add this to your discourse. You have to understand that I believe in profit, but the problem is when you have when what you're doing, you have to grow profit for your shareholders at an increasing multiple that isn't relevant to the actual value that you provide for your product. And what happens is, as such, they have to constantly do things to manufacture value. The product probably doesn't change, but they manufacture value so that they can constantly extract more and more to raise the shareholder price. As an example, let's get back to drugs. As an example, there's a drug used to be called Claritin. That it worked just fine. Claritin, it worked just fine for your allergies. But when the patent was about to expire, they needed to do something to increase their value. So they created another drug called Clarinex by just adding a little something to it that did very little difference between the previous thing, but it could be then getting another 17 years of patent control. Then they bribed the doctors to sell the new drug over the old drugs. There are things like that. We can look at that in foods. We can look at that in the marketing, as you just mentioned, for advertising for foods. And we are susceptible to all of this. So we have all this information coming down from these corporations to make sure that they continuously increase their profits. But we are the ones who pay the price with our health and otherwise. Give me a real quick closer, Johnny, before I go to Joe and then Steve.
It's the corporate mindset that brought us Pringles. The potato wasn't good enough. We have to have Pringles. And I don't have anything against Pringles. I like Pringles, but I also know that too much or too little of anything in this life is no good.
You got that right.
Smart enough to figure out the happy balance, and I'll leave it there.
Brother Johnny, thank you, Mayor of Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for calling in as usual. Let's go to Joe. Come on in, Joe.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Hey, I just man, I don't get to listen to you nearly often enough, so I'm glad to be here. Something that you brought up a minute ago. You said something about Medicare can now negotiate.
Yes, prices. Yes, sir.
And that sounds like free market capitalism to me, which is a good thing, right? It's not this crony capitalism where the deals are actually made in the back room between the old timers who have always held power here. And just to touch on something else that another thread, they have the corporations. And and actually, I would count the federal government as like the king corporation, right? The glue that holds them all together. They've invented tools to persuade and manipulate opinion, history, facts, right? And those tools, they scale. They've scaled them up, and now they are worldwide. And all they have to do to push any narrative they want is push a few buttons and skew the search results, promote certain posts, and it's so easy for them now to lead society by the nose. And that's kind of my breakfast thoughts.
Well, let me add that to that, Joe, because what you just said is so important, and I want to add something to that real quickly. I want to remind folks that what you just said is 100% right. They lead us and they pull us by the nose because they have control over the sources of information, specifically the media. You'll hear me not attack the media, but compliment the media a whole lot, because the media is one of the forces that have us in the pickle that we're in right now. So you're absolutely correct in both statements that you made. But again, the mere fact that you see that means that you can use your sphere of influence to help change that. Geometric progression means, in as we don't have to do it from the top, meaning the media, down. We can do it from the people up. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's actually true, and it's more long-lasting when done that way. Joe, if you don't have anything else to tell me, I can jump to Steve. Anything else, my brother?
Hey, one more thing, man. Don't forget, let's make America great again. Have a beautiful day, Berto.
Thank you, brother. You have a great day. And folks, I'm going to Steve now, but I want to ask you 713-526-5738. And ladies, my beautiful ladies, please give me a call too. I have 3 calls here waiting, and all 3 guys. I love the guys. Guys, you keep calling. But ladies, please call as well. We want everybody's voice to be heard. Come on in, Steve.
Hey, Egberto. Buenos días, hermanos y hermanas.
Buenos días, mi hermano. ¿Cómo estás esta mañana?
That's about all my Spanish for you.
That says,
Egberto.
good morning, my brother. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, doing good. I agree with you. We do need more ladies. That would help out Howard's mental health, I think. Is having
I know. Hey, Howard, do you want your mental health fixed by having more ladies call in, sir?
That's the problem with my mental health is the ladies.
All right. Before you talk, Steve, I want to welcome a few more people. Go ahead. Welcome aboard to Politics Done Right on the Internet, Roberto Lewis. Go ahead, my friend. Steve, you're on.
Oh, is that me?
Yes, that's you.
Okay. Yeah, I was agreeing with your health when you're talking about exercise, because you are your first doctor. Before
Right.
you go to another doctor, you should keep yourself healthy. And I think that's the same way with climate change. You know, we can do a lot. And if anybody doesn't believe that the climate has been changing for our Earth, and they're probably breathing sand, they've got their head stuck in the sand. I know in our concrete jungle, it's a little bit hotter this year than as opposed to the last few years. And what I was talking about, they've got a pretty neat Republican, I guess he calls himself Vivek.
Vivek, that's about Ramaswamy, yeah.
Yeah, what I do like about him, he does draw attention, so he makes himself bigger. He puts his hands up and he spreads his fingers so that you notice and you pay attention to him. But I think he's also trying to get attention by saying that climate change is fake. And in honor of Captain Jack, I wrote a little poem, if I can read it.
Please do.
Just a couple seconds. All right. It says, Ramaswamy Vivek was not born a mistake. If you ask if they are real, one might find they may be fake. And that's all I got.
Wow. I mean, and you actually had the rhyming in the right composition. You guys who write poetry, I have so much respect for you, because I can never get the rhyme going, man. That was great. That was great, Steve. Anyway, Steve, anything else before I jump to Harry?
Oh, I agree. How can we get more women callers? So thank you.
Thank you, my brother. All right, let's get to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning. Buenos dias to my co-birthday man.
Buenos dias to my co-birthday brother. Talk to me.
Thank you. Well, I want to give kudos to Donald, kudos to Johnny, and kudos to you about this healthcare topic. It's very important. It's very serious. A lot of these talk shows talk about how Big Pharma rips us off all the time. And I think in this state, which I've been living in since late 2018, I've been trying to get Medicaid. They've been trying to take away Medicaid. They've been trying to take away Medicare. We got to vote out people like Governor Greg Abbott, Ted Cruz, who are against that and against your health. Mm-hmm. And we just have to get progressive people in there that are going to help people that have way I should put it is how we can afford, they can get government-sponsored health care that can help them with their health.
Let me tell you, can I interrupt you a second? Because you just hit a nerve. You just hit a nerve, Harry. You said they want to take your Medicaid away. And, a lot of people say, well, that's Medicaid. We all pay for Medicaid, right? But here's the thing that really irks me. This is what irks me. What irks me is that these private insurance companies, the monies that they're, everybody wants to talk, those people that corporations have convinced that healthcare for all is a bad thing. It's socialized medicine. Nothing wrong with socialized medicine, but that's what they like to say, right? And they say, yeah, and then they talk. Right, and then they want to talk about how bad it is to have this. And then you sit down and you say, why don't you hold that fury towards an insurance company where a large percentage of your dollar goes into the pockets of others, meaning the pockets of executive shareholders that do nothing, while healthcare for all the money goes into healthcare. How did we get the framing of our thinking so incorrectly? And then we go back to some of the things that the earlier callers said, and it has to do with how the people on top and the media has influence on us. It is something that we ourselves, Harry, have to take control of. You can, your sphere of influence can. Continue before I go to Harry. Before I go to Gonzalo, Harry.
Yeah, the media dupes you, like you just pointed out there, and you can't fall for those tricks. So that these corporations and these shareholders will be the ones that benefit, and working people get their if they can't afford their insurance, then they can't get the government Medicaid, and then they want to take away the Medicare. Two more points I wanted to make. You had, I think on Monday you were playing because you didn't take calls that day. You were playing a video of a guy who was talking about Jim Crow.
Yes.
And you were also talking about. I'm not sure if it was on You Talk or you were talking to Steve Hunter later that day, or it might have been on your show.
No, I was talking to Steve later.
Right, you were talking about the football player, and you couldn't remember his name. His name was Colin Kaepernick. He was the one that who took the knee during, and then Donald Trump criticized him because he felt the Stars and Stripes flag does not apply to him, and he was absolutely right to do that because Francis Scott Key, who came up with that Star Spangled Banner song, believed in racism and believed in slavery, and that was some of the things he was talking about, that people of color are not included in that flag.
Right.
And one other point I wanted to make, I want a shout out to Howard, your engineer. That song he played right before you came on the air was one of the ones I requested.
Yes, you know what? Howard, come on in. Howard told me that this morning. Howard, tell him,
Harry's going to be happy today because I'm playing Sandcastle for Mark Antoine.
That's one of my favorite Mark Antoine songs. There's another one. There were a couple other ones that I also put on your email. I think there's a song called Forever Bliss. And you played Unity.
Hey, Harry, I'm going to throw you off to keep this stuff flowing, brother. Okay, but thank you so kindly. Notice that we listen to you, brother. Love you, brother. Let's get to I want to go to Gonzalo, but before I go to Gonzalo, I want to address somebody on the internet called Me Pluribus Unum. He says Senator Sanders didn't give marching orders to political party he caucuses with. Divisive BS like this isn't progressive. It's just petulance. I would love you to call in. Let's talk about that. Me Pluribus Unum. That is at 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. I want to have a pleasant conversation about that statement and why I completely disagree with that statement. I think what Bernie is doing right now, as he also supports Brother Biden, is imperative, and I'll tell you why. But even if you don't call in, I'll try to get to that. But let's go to Gonzalo first. Buenos días, hermano mío. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias. Okay, I want to start with the word education, and we have talked about that in previous shows. But as far as eating habits, it's cultural. It's part of our identity. It's not part of mine because I grew up in a different society. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about education and what we can do in schools despite of all the money that is thrown away every day in meals, free meals that come from our pocket, from yours and mine and everybody who's listening, and it's thrown to the landfill because the food is not good. They kid. It's not the fashion. It's not fat. It's not chicken fillet. It's not chips. And then we see in schools, the schools itself trying to raise some money and selling chips for $3, $2, or $4. And that's what the kids eat. They deny their right to eat healthy food or something that we can call food or barely healthy, but still food. And it goes to the waste. And instead, they just eat a bag of chips, having the risk of having cancer or ulcer or any other health issue. So I'm wondering if we in schools can take kids to those hospitals and say, hey, this is the way you're going to die. We're going to cut you a leg, or you're going to lose eyesight, or you're going to lose an arm because you're going to become a diabetic. Are you going to suffer from diabetes? If you continue drinking all those sugary, crazy drinks.
Right. Can I add to something that you're saying, Gonzalo? Gonzalo, you opened the door that I want to add something. I want to add something. You mentioned, I think you're a teacher, or you're a teacher, correct? You know, I honor teachers because I think you are the ones who carry knowledge forward. I really, really revere teachers from the time I came from before in Panama. That's how we revere teachers. But but it's a place of instruction. I mean, it would have been the best place to teach kids about the right kinds of foods to eat. The cafeterias should be populated not with potato tots that are fried and all these things. It could change the palate of kids by being that place where they eat and learn to eat good food. And if not all the kids, it'll change the palate of some of the kids. And so, I mean, there are a lot of things that we could do. And when you talk about taking the kids to see hospitals and all of that, that is also the best thing you get in the minds of a 10-year-old. What can happen if they eat wrong? It's amazing how that 10-year-old can grow up into, well, I remember seeing XYZ, because that's how I am. And I know a lot of people that the things that they learned at 10, 11, 12, that kind of stuck with them. And even when they stray, they sort of revert to form. So I think that's a great point you brought about education. And Eric says in the chat, scared straight. Scared straight. Lou says in most foreign countries, the food is naturally organic. The people are growing their own food for simple reasons. Healthy. That's why they are living much longer. The beef, chicken, and seafood in the USA is designed to make you sick rather. Well, it's not designed to make you sick specifically, but I get what you're saying. But because they try to maximize the growth of these different animals, etc. Anyway, Gonzalo, finish up for me, because I want to say some important stuff about the drugs, this drug thing we were talking about.
Yeah, thank you for having the opportunity of expressing myself one more time. You have a wonderful show, and I guess as you said, we need more women to express themselves. And rather than Johnny and all the brothers and sisters who are listening, but only brothers are the ones who are expressing themselves. So I also encourage women to do their part.
Yeah, to add to you, thank you for saying that, Gonzalo. Add to that, that is something that occurs throughout our society for reasons I can't understand maybe. But, I don't know if we don't make the place sufficiently welcoming or not. But that whatever I would need to do, if a woman would call me and say, "Ay, Egberto, you need to do X, Y, Z to ensure that you have a more woman-friendly show as well," I'd love to do that as well. Because, again, I think I love all my bro callers. I love you guys, and I want you to keep calling. But I want a whole lot of women to call in as well. To make sure that we are on point. Thank you so kindly for calling in, Gonzalo.
All right. Have a wonderful day. And by the way, your topics are not unisex. They are for everybody. So
exactly.
I don't know why.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one. Okay, folks, continuing with the drug thing. So Biden, my friend Alex Lawson wrote an article for Common Dreams that I was talking about earlier. And what he said, I'm going to paraphrase the rest of the article because reading it, we don't have the time. He also said that this is only the start. We're starting with 10 drugs. Next year, we go to 15 drugs. Eventually, we're going to get to 100 drugs, right? And he also mentioned that right now, what the drug companies are doing is they're attempting to sue the federal government and saying that the government negotiating somehow is unconstitutional or is anti-capitalist. All these things they want to use, when of course we know that in any negotiations, what you have is you negotiate to get the best price. And if you're a big buyer, you have some more price power to buy things. I don't necessarily agree that if you're a big buyer, you should get better prices, but that's just how our system works, okay? Now, that said, I want to remind Americans about something very important. Just about every drug of consequence on the market today had its genesis, had its start at a university or with a grant given by the government. What that means is you have already paid, you, the American people, have paid for the basic research for that particular drug. You are the ones who have proven many a times the viability of that drug. And then the way our system is bribed, corporations get into the mix to be able to finish the development of the drug and then sock it to you after they've known that it is something that's going to be likely. Again, notice I said likely because not always, but likely profitable. And then you pay twice because you paid for the development or the initial development you paid for, and then you paid for it with the high prices. And for those who are subsidized, meaning let's say Medicare and Medicaid, you also pay for the drugs that others are using. So you get, the taxpayer gets socked so many times, and the ones who walk away pretty every single time is the drug companies. For those who always are there to defend the drug companies, they're like, well, the drug companies take risk, and there are some drugs that just turned out to be not working and they have to throw the research away. That is the biggest fallacy out there. Every drug that doesn't work for a corporation, remember, it's written off of the profits of the ones that make it. Let me give an example. Let's say the company lost $1 billion on developing a drug. And let's say the drug that did work made $11 billion in profit. They don't have to pay taxes on the $11 billion in profit. They simply write off all the things that were lost, all the drugs that didn't work gets paid off first from the profits that they don't pay to the government. So don't feel sorry when you hear a corporation say, oh my God, we charge so much because we have to pay for the failed drugs. It's a lie. And the second thing is, do remember that most of these drugs are developed by us and then marketed by them. And it costs so much. Most of their monies don't go into developing the drugs. It goes into marketing, it goes into bribes, and it goes into stockholder value and executive bonuses. Let's all be educated about this and understand how we've been ripped off. I want to talk about a law later on. I hope I can get the time to talk about it, because there are laws that can prevent us from having these drug prices legal. But let's jump to Peter and then Moses. Come on in, Peter. Peter, you're on. Good morning, sir.
My morning potion. Good morning. My morning potion to increase my intelligence potion. Listening to politics done right. Those guys are out of sight.
Oh, you did arrive. I love it. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Man, I get, why do I get all these poets on this show, man? You know, I think poets know, the way they can machinate words so great. Anyway, talk to me, Peter.
So I'm a teacher heading to school, of course, and part of my morning routine is, strengthening my brain, listening to politics done right. These guys are out of sight.
Well, thank you, brother.
Yeah, you guys rock. And I just want to make a point on you were mentioning earlier about how Democratic, I don't know if it was politicians or states, are actually stronger on the economy. And to make a tie it back into the whole drug conversation, guys. So let's just flash back. So let's say 1970 when Richard Nixon, and even in the 80s when those Republicans basically declared war on marijuana, which is what a stupid move. Because fast forward to here, 2023, where Democratic states like say Colorado and Washington, they're just raking in the dough over THC and cannabis. So, and how stupid we are to have a governor who, besides not taking money for like say Obamacare, and people are paying actually more, my understanding, for simple healthcare. And of course, just so long story short, I would love to be able to tie in the THC, the cannabis conversation into this conversation, because if you have something like OxyContin where it's free and available, it's basically oxy coffins, like killing people. And myself, the first nephew killed in the drug epidemic, the heroin, and a second niece gone because of where they really should have been targeting heroin, and then not scheduling marijuana as Schedule 1. Like, get that descheduled. It's a medicine. It's helping people, and that was what I'd love to at least have my conversation with you, Egberto, starting on. What's your thoughts on that? Like, what do you mean?
I believe you're absolutely right on that. I believe in the complete legalization of drugs, and then if drugs were legalized, we could tax them, and people who get addicted could be taken care of as a health issue. If we take a look at the drug that has caused the most damage in our country, it isn't marijuana. It isn't any of these particular drugs. You talk about the amount of people that are dying from OxyContin. By the way, I don't like that drug. I think it was designed for profits, and it hurt in the process. It was designed to be addictive to keep a profit stream going. But forget about that. When we talk about the drug that caused the most killing in America, you just have to look at alcohol. And yet we have an infrastructure for alcohol in an Alcohol Anonymous, and getting treated for alcoholism and all that kind of stuff. Think about, for all the other drugs, if we treated things the way they should be, then think about the benefits that there would be. Alcohol causes destruction of the liver, causes all these other things. But it's not immoral to drink alcohol, but it's immoral to take marijuana and all these other things. Wake up. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. You are absolutely right, Peter.
100%. Yeah, and alcohol, it's a no-brainer. Like, how many drunk drivers, wrong way collisions, and all the data on that. Okay, so that's legal, and so it's just like it's oxymoron. Like, it's on one hand you have something safe, and the whole generation split up, and it was so close to being legalized until Nixon stepped in, and so that's just my point, guys. Like, politics done right. Let's be a right mind thinking society. And by the way, I'm running for congressional district 2, so any of the guys listening this morning, Don, hey guys, I'll look forward
well, no problem. Hey, Peter, you got your plug in for District 2, and in District 2 need revamping, so you do what you need to do to get it done, brother, all right?
God bless you, my friend. Again,
take care. You have a wonderful day, Peter. Let's go to Moses. Moses, come on in, my friend.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, my dear.
All right. Buenos días. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy muy bien, corazón. Estoy muy bien. Talk to me, my friend. Háblame.
Okay. I'm going to do two short things. Number one, women not typing up to call shows. It's something that it's a social thing. It's women are not socialized to open their mouths from everlasting, and especially, you have the whole religious thing. The woman, if she wants to ask a question in the church, she has to ask the man to ask it and all of that. So all the cultural things that keep women down from things, it's still there. It's there. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the cost of drugs and the cost of medicine, especially in this country. I remember when I grew up, there were a lot of older women who would make medicine when you were sick. And one thing they would do, and they would tell you, if they charge you for the medicine, it will not heal you. And the reason why they said it will not heal you is because all of what they needed to make that medicine was gathered free. They didn't have to pay for it, except for a few other things. Except for a few other things. If they needed, they would ask you to go and buy what you needed and bring it to them.
Mm-hmm.
But once they made the medicine and they gave it to you, and you said, well, how much? They would look at you and they say, don't insult me. I was given this freely. If I charge you for the medicine, it will not heal you. It will be a curse upon you. So they never charged anybody for medicine. And so I've seen so many people healed and stuff like that. But then when you look at the cost, of medicine, and you look at how many people are being healed, not many.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, let me tell you, I am thankful for those thoughts, and there's something special about when you're doing things for the right reasons, and I think you said it all. You said it all. Look, I believe. I want to segue a little bit in saying, look, I believe in profits. I believe in companies. I believe in all these things, right? But I also believe in fairness, and I believe in humanity. And those things can coexist done rightly. Right now, things are just done in such a manner that we are heading for our own self-destruction. And I think in the long run, if with thoughts that you bring in, like you've just done, and others, that is our only saving grace. We have to change. And when it comes to the women, thank you for restating something. And I would like now to say, is there something that we, as let's say male hosts, should do to ensure that we create a better platform for more people to participate? When I say more people, I mean specifically women.
Well, what I'd like you could do is bring in more women issues.
Mm-hmm.
The things that pertain to child raising, which is very close to the woman.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bring in more of those issues. Bring in more of issues that has to do with relationships. The things that hamper a lot of women in this society.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, let me tell you something, Moses. I'm going to call you my lovely greatest advisor. Please drop me lines of if you can see an intersectionality between politics and a subject of that sort. Please drop me a line at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Would love to hear your ideas. Okay.
I certainly will. Okay, you have a blessed day.
You too, Moses. All right, come on in. Jimmy, I don't have a lot of time, and it looks like I'm going to, before I bring you in, Jimmy, look, I'm going to take this drug subject to tomorrow as well. And the reason why is I want to talk about solutions that we as American citizens can actually do. And I want to talk about a particular law that we need to know about so that we can force, whenever they come with certain excuses, we can force our government to act on it. Come on in, Jimmy.
Morning, Egberto. I want to talk about good nutrition. Nobody's mentioned that fruits and vegetables are much better for you than fatty meats and chips and stuff like that. Eat salads, eat vegetables. They're not only healthier, they're low in calories. You can keep your weight down. Every morning I have a smoothie that's made with a banana, strawberries, blueberries, and low-calorie almond milk. Mm-hmm. It's very healthy, and it tastes good, too. So, but also,
well, Jimmy, I think I've seen some of the food that you eat, and you eat really, really well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like salads. Anyway, buy your vegetables, your sweet potatoes, your broccoli, and eat nuts and beans for protein. And you won't get diabetes if you do two things: stay active and keep your weight down. I heard that one a long time ago, so I do that too. There's too many people in America that are overweight. They're eating too many potato chips and cookies and cakes and stuff like that. So with the more fruits and vegetables, lay off the fatty meats, and also lay off the alcohol. I've had two friends die of cirrhosis of the liver. So alcohol is bad for you. Smoking is horrible for you. And you can do it with natural foods. You go to the fruits and vegetables and lay off of the dipped in the breads and the cakes and stuff like that. But and also get some exercise. Take a walk, go swimming, ride your bicycle, do some yard work. Don't just sit there all day watching TV.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice, Jimmy. Jimmy, I got to go. But first of all, so give me a 30-second closer. Okay.
I want everybody that listens to KPFT to stay healthy. I want you to avoid diabetes. So eat your fruits and vegetables, your nuts for protein, your beans, and stay away from the cheeseburgers and the French fries and stuff like that, and you'll be healthier and happier.
Thank you so kindly, Brother Jimmy. Thank you so kindly. Anyway, folks, we are coming close to the end of the program, and I want to say that I'm going to continue with the drug, this topic tomorrow, because I want to talk about solutions that we can actually do to make to be better at ensuring that our politicians do what is right. But anyhow, before we close, I want to throw it back to the control room to Howard and Jack.
Oh, well, I think Jack was back here having a banana.
Yeah. Got some granola bars here today.
Oh, those things are awful. They're full of sugar.
I know. I'm
All
bad.
right. What's your wisdom today?
First off, we got a lot of bad food out there. Those soft drinks have about 49 milligrams of caffeine in them now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, got those high caffeine drinks. We got addictive food out there that these corporations are trying to profit on. That's simply it. They're using addiction for profit. Sugar being the first addiction, the childhood addiction. With the soda you get for both. So shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Stay out of the aisles and you'll be much healthier.
Thank you so kindly, my brother Jack. Thank you, Jack and Howard, for the great work in the control room. And I can tell you from take vitamins. There you go. I can tell. I do too. I take the vitamin C every day. And I want to thank both of you in the control room. And I want to say that I've had the good food that Brother Jack has made. We sat at the lake with some great Brother Jack's burritos, and they were like to die for. Anyway, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!